maybe not too much more. All right. You got it? Or?
Yeah.
All right. All right. I guess here we go. Any questions before we start? Or?
No, go right ahead.
All right. Welcome everyone, this is DJ Hattrick. Welcome you back to another episode of The Final Cut. Here I've got with me is Katie Johnson, one of the leading cast members of the upcoming production, Rosencrantz and Gildenstern, Are Dead. Katie, introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, my name is Katie Johnson. I'm a senior here at Catawba. I'm a theater arts education major.
All right, and how did you become involved with theater?
Actually, that goes way, way back to when I was 4. My grandfather was a professional actor. So he built me my first puppet playhouse and made me read Shakespeare. So I've been doing theater ever since I can remember.
All right, why don't you tell us a little bit something about the upcoming production?
It is not going to be your typical show. It's a staged reading, which means that we actually have scripts on stage. And that means that we will be doing some of the lines off book, memorized, but we will have our scripts on a stage, on a music stand. And it's going to be a lot of wit and silly kind of business. Pirates attack, there's a sea monster. So it's a really, really great show. If you don't know Rosencrantz and Gildenstern, they're two very, very small characters from Hamlet. And so this is the play about sort of their interpretation of Hamlet and them giving commentary on the show.
Now, considering the fact that you actually are having scripts, what would you say, why go the different route? Why is this, why are, productions like this done? Isn't the whole point of a production to kind of memorize a script and then kind of...
Yeah, well, a staged reading, it gives you the freedom to sort of delve more into the language and the word usage and what the meaning of the words actually is. Especially with this script, there's a lot of double entendres and sort of play on words. My character Gildenstern, actually, one of his lines is, words, words, it's all we have to go on. And a stage reading, it's less about delving into the character so much as what is the script, what was the playwright really trying to get across.
All right, and if I remember correctly, Dr. Haman is directing this piece, am I?
Dr. Homan, yes, Beth Homan.
All right, and how long has this production been staged? When was it set that you guys would be doing?
Here at Catawba, the way we do it is we audition for shows a semester ahead of time. So I auditioned for this role last semester and was assigned the role in, I guess it would have been November. So I've known that I was going to be part of the show since November, but we didn't start rehearsals until January 22nd. So it's been about a month.
Yeah, it seems like a long time to kind of, a whole semester prior,
So basically what will happen is in April they will have auditions for next semester shows. For example, the first show that was this semester references to Salvador Dali. They were required to come back from Christmas break off book, completely memorized. So it really depends on the organization of how the show is. I didn't have to come off book. I didn't even have my script yet. But it was a good idea to sort of start getting familiar with the show. At least I did a lot of research over winter break. I watched Hamlet because I hadn't seen it in years. I read Tom Stoppard. It's by Tom Stoppard, so I read the play on my own. My director gave me a few other things to read as sort of just character building work.
Would you say there's any special skills that you would need for, say, a play reading than compared to a different type of, to your regular type of production?
Yeah, actually, in our rehearsal process, we've done a lot of vocal work, learning to take pauses, because when we're nervous, we tend to speak faster, and so it's all about finding the nice pause in language, giving the audience a moment to digest what you've just said, and also forming the words with your mouth so that people can understand you. We've done a lot of, we were doing exercises where we stick our tongue behind our teeth and make noises like la la la, and that's to stretch your tongue. We massage our jaw. It's really about making sure the audience hears what you're saying, because even if they miss one joke, it could mean the difference between them getting it and not getting it.
And that's definitely a process that you guys go through for just the difference in the type of production.
Yep.
I'm gonna say, what would you say your favorite part of this production has been? It could be rehearsals or just the play itself.
I have loved working with Cody Gaskew, who's basically my other half. they talk a lot about Rosencrantz and Gildenstern getting mixed up. You can kind of equate it to, basically the Lion King is Hamlet with animals, so you can think of Timon and Pumbaa as Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Timon would be Guildenstern and Pumbaa would be Rosencrantz. You kind of think of it like the dumb, stupid one and the really, really smart one. Mm-hmm. It's been great fun sort of getting on the same wavelength as him and sort of playing off of each other. He's very, very good with comedic timing, and I'm very good at setting him up for a joke. But the entire cast has been absolutely wonderful. We're all super close in the theater department, so it's basically like every single night you're going to hang out with your best friends. It's just, you have a script in your hand.
Well, I mean, it has to be, work has to be a little, it has to have a little bit of that fun element in there. So.
Exactly. It's a lot of work, and rehearsals are exhausting, but it's, you know, we have great laughs. We get off topic sometimes. Last night we broke out into a single ladies dance, but it's a lot of fun, and I think being around the people is probably my favorite part.
Would you say that there's more time spent into doing these type of productions compared to others, or would you say there's just more or less time?
Stage readings, you mean?
Yeah. Stage readings.
We have never done a stage reading here at Catawba since I've been here. This is the first one that I've been part of. Typically stage readings, they're done a lot of different ways. Some directors choose to literally sit the actors at a table with chairs and have them read from the script, and that's total vocal work, and they have to do multiple characters, and they have to draw the audience in with just their voices, which is extremely hard. Some directors choose to do it at just music stands, which Beth has chosen to do kind of a little bit of both. There is a lot of what we call blocking, is the movement of actors on stage, and Cody and I have music stands, as well as the guest artist, Craigo, he has a music stand. But we're the three main characters with the most lines, so she wanted us to have a place to put our scripts, but the rest of the characters in the cast are off book for their lines. They're the Shakespeare characters. But I've never done a stage reading before. This is my first time go around.
And how are you enjoying it so far?
I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a bit more challenging than I was expecting, because at first glance, most actors would say that the worst part of the rehearsal process is when the director finally says, you're off book, put your script down, because you don't have that safety net anymore. Yeah. But I thought to myself, oh, well, this will be great. I'll have my script on stage, like I have nothing to worry about. But it's actually really cumbersome to have your script there, because you want to move your hands and you want to, you know, connect with the audience, but it's hard to have to keep looking down your script. I found that it's very hard. We call it grab a line and look. So you have to grab your line, look at the audience, look down, grab your line, look at the audience. In the long monologues, it's especially hard not to lose your place. So you just have to remember to breathe, take your time, and just be as clear and concise as you possibly can while still projecting the character.
Considering the fact that stage reading is like, oh, if it's just a script there, then I would be in the same boat as you, just doing it for the first time. Considering it's just hearing about it's like a stage reading. So I'm just reading this, so it's like simply just reading my line from a script and just doing this. But as you mentioned, it's a lot harder than it sounded at first. I thought stage reading was going to be a breeze, but I should have never assumed that when Beth Homan is in the mix, because she's an amazing director, and she would never, under any circumstances, make a stage reading boring. We're using a lot of multimedia. We have basically our set is just a triangle platform with 2 steps and a big projection screen behind us, and that's the entire set. But the projection screen is going to have a lot of multimedia pictures, videos, interactive, like Cody and I interact with the screen at certain times. It types what we're saying. Pictures will come up when we say certain words. It's going to be amazing. Jeffrey Salerno is the multimedia designer, and he's doing a lot of really cool work with images and sort of different effects. How is Dr. Haman like? She's kind of trying to integrate both standing and kind of just the whole free movement. How has she integrated so it's been I guess being really effective? I guess in the effective manner of.
We did a lot of table work before we even what we called getting on our feet. We sat down actually in the environmental center, and we would read through a certain section of the script. And after we read through it, we were to write down as many questions as we could think of, anything. There's the section when the pirates attack, and the stage directions say, Gildenstern and Rosencrantz draw their swords. But nowhere previously in the play have we ever had swords, and so one of my questions was literally, where did the swords come from? Did they just did they literally just appear out of nowhere? And then my second question was, Beth, do we really get swords? Because that would be really cool. We did a lot of that kind of table work of asking questions and you know, it's kind of putting a bunch of brains together, and you don't realize how much you can come up with in, you know, an hour's work of time. But it gave me a lot of things to think about when it came to my character, because I thought I was pretty sure what I wanted Gildenstern to be, but throughout the table work process kept coming up with questions, and I would go, oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, I really need to answer that question, because otherwise the audience isn't going to get it. So she's really integrated that to give us the character development underneath. That way we have something to show the audience. It's not just actors reading from scripts. She wanted it to be, you know, yes, I'm a girl, but I'm playing a boy. So we're not trying to hide that from the audience, but the audience is supposed to buy into the fact that I am playing male, but I am, in fact, female.
So in terms of, say, I guess, creative boundaries, would you say she's been real loose, or kind of a mixture of both? Like, there's certain things that she lets you kind of go, like, be creative with, but then there's some that she wants, like, more concrete?
Beth has always been a very easy director in the fact that she'll give you a skeleton, but within that skeleton, she wants you to add everything else. She may say something like, why don't we try this? I want you to run across stage and hit him on the back of the head. And if she doesn't like that, she'll say, that was stupid, try something different. And then she wants you to try something. Because a director's whole purpose is to make sure that your character is your own development. It's not her projection of what she wants. I love working with her because it's just absolutely fantastic. She gives you the blocking skeleton, and then she'll say, okay, in this section, I want you to play. I want you to decide what you're going to do here. And Cody and I loved our improvisation rehearsals, because we just kind of got to, well, I'm going to walk over here on this line. And then Beth would say, I like when you did that, but I think I want you to do this while you do that. She adds in, is kind of her mantra.
Well, I figured just being a director, you know, she would kind of want to, well, I figured they would be the director's vision, not so much of the actors or actresses performing and have it be their vision. So, I mean, and that's how my perception would be of that. Her position would be, well, she's the director, so it's be her vision of how things should be, not so much, you know, like you mentioned, her giving you a skeleton and then building it from there. And
she has a vision, definitely, and she told us from the very first rehearsal, like, I want this to be fun, I want it to be interactive, I want this to be a good experience for the audience, but I also want your input, because I'm not playing your characters. I'm not going to be on stage with you. So I'm going to give you the tools, but I want you to build the final production.
I mean, well, that's good, because I mean, I guess it's nice to have more than just one vision and having that creative collaboration.
Yeah. And she's very big on the collaborative process, and I love that about her, because it makes me feel like my work is my own. I'm not doing what someone wants me to do. I'm doing the basis and foundation, but then I get to build on top of that.
Yeah, it's just like something you have to claim to your own, other than it just being all hers, and then it's just like you're just kind of, I guess, portraying her vision of it. So, you know.
Exactly.
So, all right. I'm gonna say, what are some of the things you've experienced being part of this production? I guess, what would be a good way to put this? I guess I want to say it's like what kind of experience have you had? Like good ones, bad ones, the challenges?
Well, the first challenge right off the bat when I got cast was, how am I going to play a boy? I'm obviously not a boy. I've never attempted to play a male character. How am I going to do this? And I found actually it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. You know, she really didn't want me to, you know, physically hide the fact that I'm a girl. They're pinning my hair up and we're wearing big jackets, but other than that, she said, you know, it's not that we're trying to turn you into a guy. We want the audience to know that you're a girl. But that was the very first challenge, which actually turned out to be a lot easier than I thought. But my good experience have just been that, you know, I've never had a super gigantic lead like this before here at Catawba, and I was very excited to get the chance to really delve into this script, because Cody and I speak 3/4 of the entire thing. We're on stage the entire time until intermission, and then we're on stage all through Act 2. So the good experience has just been really figuring out how I am as an actress and how I want to be. And she's been great. Beth has been absolutely amazing helping Cody and I both get to that kind of level. I guess bad experiences, I'm just tired after rehearsal. You know, the working rehearsals are kind of take a beating and you go home and you don't realize how tired you are because the adrenaline's pumping. And I get to my bed and I just go, oh God. All right, sleep.
How much time do you guys put into each rehearsal?
Well, technically, a rehearsal schedule process here at Catawba, the way they function, is your rehearsal process is every single night, Sunday through Friday, 7 to 10. So it's 3 nights every single night except for Saturdays. Beth has an infant, so she plays the kind of baby swap with her husband. So our rehearsals, typically we're going until about 9:20 or 9:30 on weeknights. We would do Sunday rehearsals from 1 to 4 and maybe leave early if we got through everything. But typically you're there 7 to 10, right on the dot. We call it the 10-minute rule, and that means that you get there at 6:50 if your rehearsal's at 7. If your rehearsal's at 1 o'clock, you get there at 12:50. And that means that you're there, you're on time, you're ready to go right at 1 o'clock, right at 7 o'clock, whenever. And then you're not out until director says you're done.
And so you guys get you guys pretty much have rehearsal every day except for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's pretty demanding.
And Tech Week is even more demanding, which is basically what we've been in this past week. That means that we're adding in props, we're adding in costumes, we're adding in, what are we going to do here, what are we going to do here. Cody and I have to flip coins, so I had to teach myself how to flip a coin without dropping it. That was really hard because I don't flip coins as a hobby, but Gildenstern and Rosencrantz do. It's hard, but you don't actually realize that it's been 3 hours. I mean, we get like a 10-minute break or a 5-minute break around like 8 o'clock, but you don't realize it's been 3 hours until all of a sudden you go, oh, it's 9:45. Wow.
Well, I mean, having fun, I mean, and enjoying what you do, it's very hard. I mean, heck, time flies, and I guess it's
exactly. And after your first show here at Catawba, it kind of just becomes
second nature.
It's second nature. Like we don't even think about it anymore. Okay, rehearsal, yeah. Oh, you're having a birthday party tonight? Oh, well, I can't come until 10:30. Got rehearsal. We call it the classic joke in the theater department or any department for theater is, sorry, I can't. I have rehearsal. And you will use that line more times than not if you are a theater person. Sorry, I have rehearsal.
Well, too bad. I mean, I don't know if they was saying for this for us over in the music department like that, but maybe we should think about.
Sorry, I have practice.
Yeah, sorry, I know. It's like, sorry, I got a pet band.
Exactly,
it's
right?
Like, sorry, I got a game. It's like, you got a game. It's like, basketball team's like, yeah. It's like, I didn't know you were an athlete. No, I'm just part of the band. I'm just.
No. Well, and we call it the post-show depression, and that's when a show is finished, you kind of don't know what to do with all your free time.
It's strike.
Yes, strike. But the way Catawba does it, and most theater departments do it, is so basically what will happen is we'll open on Tuesday, we'll run until Saturday, and Saturday night we will tear down the entire set until we're done Sunday morning. Tearing down Hello Dolly was bad. That was a very huge set.
I actually went and saw the opening night, and it's like, I mean, I didn't think there was even much there. I mean, you got the cushion, which was the cushion there. You got a desk, maybe a second desk, and then you had you had that stage where the keyboard was, and then a fridge.
Oh, references, yeah.
Yeah, and references. So it's like this can't all be too bad. I mean, it couldn't take possibly hours, but I mean.
Well, and that one didn't take very long. They put that one off because Winterfest was that night, so they put it off until the next morning. And sometimes they will do that. They'll split it. They'll say, we're going to get to this point tonight, and then you're all going to go to bed, and we're going to come back here 9, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to finish it. But I don't know if you saw Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
That set was torn down all in one night. Maybe a little bit spaced out until the next day. But the class here is called Applied Theater, and if you're in Applied Theater, you're required to be at every strike, work call, critiques. We do critiques for every single show. Basically, Applied Theater is the workforce of the theater department.
Well, I mean, consider the fact that you're on a triangular platform with like 2 steps, and then the projection screen in the background. It really doesn't seem.
No, there's not going to be a lot. Basically, the biggest part of this show is the multimedia aspect and the sound. The costumes weren't exactly crazy. Again, Beth's whole concept of this was, we're not trying to turn people into a character. We're trying to show that these are actors playing characters. And so the costumes are very piece-oriented. So Cody and I have jackets and hats and a messenger bag, but that's about it. And then we're wearing like plain khaki pants, and I'm wearing just a blue undershirt. John Milbank plays Hamlet. He's wearing like a black jacket and some jeans. The players, or the Tragedians troupe, they're wearing kind of disheveled clothes and sneakers. Like it's not sort of full Shakespearean garb.
It's more of a modernized.
Exactly, kind of.
Well, I mean, if anything, I think that's what they tried. That's what they did with reference to. They kind of took the concept of what the settings and then kind of modernized it a little bit with, I believe, their costumes and props and everything. So
yeah, Dee Clark was the costume and makeup designer for References, and she did a fabulous job with pulling, not necessarily turning Greg and Verity into Cat and Coyote, but giving them sort of like the whole image of this girl is playing a cat and this guy is playing a coyote.
Who was your designer for this production?
For costumes?
Yeah, for Rosencrantz.
Rosencrantz. The costume designer is Shannon O'Donnell. She's a sophomore. Makeup, the way we have done it is it's called basic corrective, and basic corrective is it's not anything crazy. It's just using highlights and shadows to highlight certain aspects of your face. When you're under high highlights, you get a shadow under your cheekbones and under your jawline. And so what the makeup does is it highlights right there, so that way the light doesn't give a shadow on your face. It bounces off. So we're all doing basic corrective, nothing crazy. And the costumes, like I said, are piece-oriented more than not. The set designer was David Pulliam, professor, and the multimedia designer, sound designer, is Jeffrey Salerno.
What would you say, considering that it's a stage reading and not your typical production, how would you say teamwork's, how much of a role would you say it played in this entire production? A
lot. Not just within the entire cast, but in subgroups of the people who were cast as the players, the troupe. There's 6 of them, and they have to work together to do tableaus. Basically, the way troupes worked was that if they were a traveling acting troupe, they kind of had their shtick, and in this show specifically, their shtick is tragedy. And so they pull out random props here and there, and Rin and Chelsea Ritalik play the tuba and the recorder, and so it's been a lot of fun. They've had to depend on each other to come up with things, and Cody and I we're the 2 main ones, so we're teamwork to the max. But then also Craigo has kind of fulfilled our triangle, because he's the other main character, and so we've had to work together to kind of figure out, okay, when I say this line to you, what does it mean? And when you say this line back to me, what does it mean? But the entire cast has been very dependable on each other. The Shakespeare characters all got together outside of rehearsal to, talk about Hamlet and talk about the different characters and what this person's relationship is with this person, and how does Ophelia feel about Hamlet, and how does Polonius feel about his daughter. And it's been a really great production. They're a great cast, and I love being around them.
I'm going to say, how challenging were the timing of the jokes? Because you mentioned that the timing has been real critical, so how challenging was it to get the timing down?
Comedy is hard. Comedy is really, really hard. Comedic timing, you just either have to feel it and just be natural with it, or you have to learn it. We call it the rule of 3. So something is funny when it's done in 3s. So you can think of it, probably you've seen it and you don't even realize it on TV shows, the Three Stooges. They may do like a little shtick, like someone hits him over the head once, hits him over the head twice, and then the 3rd time is the kicker. That's why knock-knock jokes, knock knock, who's there? It's a progression. And so we've done a lot of the coin tossing in 3s to make sure that we got the comedic timing right. Beth has us doing little bits. So Cody and I, at one point, when the Shakespeare characters leave, we have to do the timing of lean, look at each other, and then run. So it's 1, 2, 3. It's a lot of just kind of feeling it, but it's also getting in tune with the other person. And Cody and I have a couple of times said, okay, this turn is going to be a 5 count, because we're not facing each other and we can't make eye contact, so we're just going to count to 5. But you just kind of get used to the people when you're working with them. You don't realize how in tune you can actually get with somebody until you spend 3 hours every single night with them. And Cody and I have really started to kind of, the other night during rehearsal, without even realizing it, we both clapped at the same time. And Beth goes, that was good, keep that. And Cody and I are like, we're never going to do that perfect ever again, but we'll try.
So how fun was it? Aside from having a script and doing this stage reading, how was the improvisation? How fun was it? Just trying to come up with...
It was a lot of fun. When Beth first said it, we were all kind of like, oh, okay. And she gave us our music stands for the first time, and she said, I want you to use your music stand as whatever you want it to be. One of the great improv games that a lot of people will do is they'll give you an object and they'll say, it's not a comb, it's a, and you have to fill it in. So if I were given a comb, I would say, it's not a comb, it's a microphone. It's not a comb, it's a ear picker. It's not a comb, it's insert whatever here. And so basically that was what the music stand was. It's not a music stand, it's whatever you want it to be at this point. Craigo beats off the pirates with his music stand. We hide behind them from the sea monster. So basically, it's just kind of using something to your advantage to get something else across.
Man, I mean, yeah, because I mean, I say a few years back I used to be part of, I mean, totally different, I mean, music-wise, doing a bunch of improvisation, and it's actually, I mean, too bad we couldn't use the same concept, like saying, okay, this note is definitely this note, or this instrument is, like say my trombone is a clarinet. It's like, yeah, I can't do this with it. I had to, it's like no matter how hard I try to play it, like it's this. But I mean, just the concept, I mean, it was always fun trying to create, I guess, a new melody every different time that wasn't consistent. Now, would you, I guess, and on that topic, I guess you're going to try and be consistent with the improv, or is it just going to be whatever comes to you at that moment?
Well, a lot of it's been set in stone now that we're sort of like getting to the final stages. But even in certain sections, Beth has said, you don't have to do this the same every single night. Hamlet has to scare Polonius at one point in the show. And Beth said to the actor, feel free to do something different every night. I want you to really scare her. I want you to legitimately scare her. I don't want her to be expecting it. And so it's tiny little parts like that where she says, I want you to maybe improv this. But sort of the big chunks, we've sort of laid down the foundation. We did a little bit of playing around, improving to figure out what we liked, what we didn't like. What we say in the theater is you try 90% and you only keep 10. And that's basically, you can try as much as you want, and then you can completely fail and say, we tried it, it didn't work, let's go back to what we tried before. Or, that was even better, let's keep that. And that's kind of the way it works with improv. But now we're sort of, we like this, we're good.
Have you, I mean, with the current cast that Dr. Homan has right now, have you worked with any of them in previous productions at all? Or?
Basically, in the theater department here, we audition for shows almost every single semester, and so you're bound to be in the same show with somebody multiple times. In this particular production, I have never previously been in a show with Cody, but I was in a show with John and Bristol and who else? I've never been in a show with Gabby. I was in Laramie with John. I was in Merry Wives with Bristol. And we also do not even just the main stages, but we do 10-minute scenes and we do one acts. And so I was in a one act with John, and I was in a 10-minute scene with Jamie, and I was in class scenes with them. We spend more time together than I think any of us would like to admit. But you become a family. We're a family on the other side of the campus.
Well, and like I mentioned before, that some of the other actors and actresses, and even Sydney Burke, is that that's how it should be. I mean, always having that like family away from your family. It's always nice to have, and I mean, it's almost like it's nice to have that support there, especially when you're trying out new. Like when you're trying to do improv, it's never guaranteed to be a success the first time, but I mean, it's why it's improv. It's just a work in progress almost.
Well, and I mean, we obviously have our differences, and putting a bunch of personalities together into one department, you're bound to have issues. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we learn in the theater is that you're working towards a common goal, and so you have to put in what your part of the project is. Otherwise, no one's going to get to the final end. And so it's a lot of working together and being disciplined enough to know that if you have a problem with somebody or something's going on, you just have to be honest about it and say, hey, it kind of bothered me when you did this. Can we sort of come to a compromise and get to the point where we can get to the final end?
All right, and before, wow, not this for some time now. See, I'm having fun, and it's almost already been a half hour on this. But yeah, I guess before we go, what would you say has been the one class that's actually helped you, I guess, prepare better for like performances like this, for like a stage read, if there is any?
I mean, the theater classes here are on a huge span. There's the technical classes, there's the acting classes, there's the design classes. I guess going way back, beginning acting my freshman year has really been the foundation for a lot of my experiences. Stanislavski method is a method of acting that talks about action. And so when you say a line, you have to have an intention behind it. We call it, there's a million different ways to say, how are you doing? You can say, how are you doing? Or you can say, how are you doing? And each is a different intention. One may be you're trying to calm a person down. One may be you're trying to sympathize with them. So basically, we call it giving an action to every line. So with every single line, you got to mean something with it. And so Beth has been really trying to emphasize that. We say intention, have some. She says, what are you trying to do with this line? What are you trying to hurt that person? Are you trying to think through something? Are you trying to get something out of them? And so that's been a lot of me going back to basic Stanislavski method and remembering that, I need to have an action behind everything I say. Because in real life, that's exactly what we do. I think girls are probably the worst at it. We say one thing, but we totally mean another. Fine is not fine.
Yeah, and I'm not going to, that's a whole...
That's a whole other thing.
Yes, and I'm not going to get into that because I completely agree.
But yeah, beginning acting probably at its core has been the greatest class I've ever taken. It's required, but I constantly go back to it. Of course, at the time I went, oh, I'm never going to get through this class. I'm never going to get through it. What if I don't use this ever again? Here I am as a senior going, thank God I took that class.
All right, well, thank you, Katie, for being on the show. And everyone, you can catch this show, Rosencrantz and Gildenstern Are Dead. It starts next week, February 19th. It runs all the way to Saturday the 23rd. 7:30?
6:55 the first couple of nights, and then 7:30 Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
All right, well, thank you. And just judging by for all those who love maybe not slapstick humor, just humor and comedy with a little bit of tragedy on the side, I would highly recommend going to see this. So until next time, everyone, this is DJ Hedrick signing out.